husband and sister confessed to their betrayal, her posing as his wife before sleeping together. My vengeance is planned. It started innocently enough, or so I thought. I just wrapped up a brutal 10-hour day at work. I was exhausted, but Ryan, who'd been home since 3 p.m., claimed he was too weary to cook. So there I was, preparing pasta for dinner, and I could already tell it was going to be one of those nights. As I twirled spaghetti on my fork, half listening, Ryan dropped a casual bombshell. So, my 8-year reunion is next month, and I need Emma to come with me. My husband and sister confessed to their affair, where she impersonated his wife. My revenge plan is now in motion. My fork paused midair. Emma, my younger sister. Emma, who was 12 pounds smaller than me. Undeniably beautiful, and had been unemployed for 2 years, living entirely on my dime. I paid her rent, her car insurance, even her ridiculous 6-week highlights because dark roots made her feel insecure. And now, I was apparently funding her appearance at my husband's high school reunion. After swallowing my noodles, I finally managed. Why would Emma be coming to your reunion? Ryan didn't even glance up from his phone. Because I need her there. That was it. No explanation. Just that simple, infuriating sentence. He just kept scrolling, completely engrossed in whatever app held more of his attention than I did. Ryan, I began, my voice tighter than I wanted. He looked up, that familiar sigh already forming on his lips, the one that said, "Oh, here we go. Sarah's about to ask a ridiculous question. Why do you need my sister at your high school reunion instead of your wife?" He sighed, deep and dramatic, as if I'd asked him to solve a complex mathematical equation, because I told everyone I married her. The words hung in the air, heavy and absurd. I just stared at him. I waited for the punchline, for the laugh, for him to admit it was all a bizarre joke. But it never came. "You told your friends you married my sister?" I repeated, my voice barely a whisper, needing to be absolutely sure I'd heard him correctly. "It's not a big deal," he dismissed, picking up his fork. It was easier than explaining. And honestly, babe, you know how those guys are. They're shallow. They remember Emma being hot. And they've spent 8 years thinking I locked that down. I can't show up with someone different and explain that actually I married the other one. The other one. Me. The top student in law school. The one who partnered at 33. The one who bought the house, the cars, and every single piece of furniture Ryan called his own. And I was the other one. A chill spread through my chest, but I kept my voice steady. "So, your solution," I said, "is to bring my sister as your fake wife to a reunion full of people I'll never meet. And I'm supposed to just be okay with that?" Ryan reached across the table, taking my hand in his, an attempt at a comforting gesture. "It's one night," he murmured, squeezing my fingers. "Nobody will ever know. These people don't matter. I'll make it up to you. I promise. We'll do a nice dinner after. Just us. Whatever restaurant you want." His blue eyes, which used to make my stomach flip, now just made me feel empty. I realized in that moment what should have been clear years ago. He thought I was foolish. He truly believed I'd do anything for a great dinner, just because I was so desperate to please him. Worse, he was probably right. From the moment we met, he'd systematically taught me to accept less. "I don't know, Ryan," I said, pulling my hand away. I watched his expression shift from feigned appeal to annoyance in less than a second. "It just feels weird. Why can't you just tell them the truth?" "Because I've been lying for 8 years, Sarah," he practically yelled. "What am I supposed to say now?" "Hey guys, funny story. I actually married her boring older sister who works all the time." That's humiliating. Boring. Older. Works all the time. Each word hit me like a tiny blow to the chest. Yet I said nothing. I just accepted it as I always did. That was my role in this marriage. Provider, absorber, the other. "Emma already said yes," he continued, oblivious to my pain. "She's excited about it. She said it sounds fun." I blinked. "You already asked her before asking me?" He shrugged. I needed to make sure she was available first. Logistics. My sister, who I'd financially supported for 2 years, who called me weeping every month about how terrible her life was, had volunteered to play my husband's wife. Without even calling me, Ryan must have seen something in my face, because he melted into his signature faux worry. Babe, don't be upset. Emma said you should be flattered that she's willing to help. She's doing this for us. For you really, so I can network and maybe finally land something better than that cashier job you're always complaining about. I didn't criticize his cashier work. I criticized the fact that he'd quit 4 cashier positions in 3 years because his superiors didn't appreciate him. I was frustrated about funding his life while he was 34 and still deciding what to be. But, of course, I was just unsupportive. I blamed myself for everything. Nobody gets hurt, Ryan said again one night, observing me carefully, gauging how much further he needed to push. And then we never talk about it again. Okay, I nodded. I convinced myself it was innocuous, just an awkward lie he needed help hiding. But Emma's rapid yes kept bothering me. How she knew the date before I did. How easily Ryan asked his wife to stand aside for her sister. I opted not to watch from the sidelines. Oh no. I was going to observe their rehearsals. I was going to see their reactions when their real wife, the one they were trying to replace, volunteered to join. I wanted to see them wiggle. I wanted Emma to feel guilty, Ryan to stutter, and both of them to understand how truly crazy this was. I arrived home early from work the next day. I found them in my living room, already discussing their narrative. They barely looked up when I walked in. I figured I could help, I said. Give you feedback on what looks believable. Ryan just said, "Sure, babe," and resumed his conversation with Emma. I took the chair across from them and waited for the discomfort. It never came. They just kept acting like I was part of the furniture in the house I paid for, while they, who contributed nothing, planned their charade. Okay, Ryan was saying to Emma. So when they ask how we met, I'll say, I saw you across the room at a mutual friend's birthday party, and I knew right then I had to talk to you. My entire body stiffened. That wasn't their story. That was our story. Ryan and I met that way. He approached me by a window, said I looked like I was planning my escape. I laughed, and we spoke for 3 hours before he asked for my number. Wait, I interrupted. They looked at me, annoyed, as if I'd disrupted something sacred. That's our story. That's how you and I actually met. The night that started our entire relationship. Ryan shrugged. Exactly. I already know it by heart, so I won't mess up the details. Makes it easier. You want to use the story of how you met your wife to pretend you married someone else. I asked, incredulous. You don't see anything wrong with that? Not really. It's practical. I turned to Emma. And you're okay with this? Pretending you had the night that I actually had? The night I've told you about a dozen times because I thought my sister would care about the most important moment of my life. Emma studied her nails. I mean, it's not like you own a story, Sarah. Things happen to lots of people the same way. It's not that deep. It happened to me, specifically with him, your brother-in-law. And now we're borrowing it for one night. You'll get it back, she said, as if I were hoarding a sweater. Ryan just looked back at Emma, signaling the conversation was over. So, after the party, I texted you the next day and asked if you wanted to get coffee, and I said yes, but I made you wait 3 days before we actually went. Emma smiled at him, because I didn't want to seem too eager. Yes, I did that. My roommate said 3 days was the minimum for not seeming desperate, so I had him wait. She was reciting my story. The story I'd told her years ago, late at night, thinking I was sharing something wonderful with my little sister. She was now claiming it as her own, to my husband. I told you that story in confidence, I said, my voice rising. I told Emma when we were close, and I thought you cared about my life. Ryan sighed loudly, turning to me. You know what this is really about. You're so used to being the boss at work that you can't let anyone else have anything without controlling it. Everything has to go through Sarah. Everything has to be approved by Sarah. We can't even have a conversation without you hovering over it like a manager. This isn't about control. I shot back. This is about you giving away my memories. See, there you go again. Memories, story, life, he shrugged. Not everything belongs to you just because you were present for it. I was there, too. It's my story as much as yours, and I can tell it however I want. Emma nodded. He has a point. You can't copyright a relationship. I changed tactics. Okay. Well, what about the proposal? What are you going to say when people ask about that rooftop restaurant downtown? Ryan replied, confident once more. I had the ring hidden in my jacket pocket all night, and I was so nervous I could barely eat. Then, after dessert, I got down on one knee, and the whole restaurant clapped. My engagement, my proposal, the happiest night of my life, reduced to a script for my sister to memorize. That's literally what you did for me, I murmured, my voice cracking in a manner I loathed. That's my proposal. I cried. You cried. The waiter brought us free champagne. I called my mom from the restaurant because I couldn't wait to tell her. That memory is mine, Ryan, ours. How can you just hand it to someone else? Ryan's face twisted into something horrible. You know what, Sarah? You've always been jealous of Emma. Ever since you were kids, she got more attention. She got more dates. She got more everything. And you've never gotten over it. He pointed at my sister. This isn't about the reunion. This is about you still competing with her after 30 years. I'm not competing with anyone. I roared. I'm asking why my husband is teaching my sister how to be me. Because she's willing to help without making it a federal case. He softened towards Emma, who supported him by squeezing his arm. It's okay, she said. She doesn't get it. You think this is easy for me? Ryan demanded, offended. I have to go back to these people and lie to their faces all night. I have to pretend my whole life turned out different than it did. But sure, let's focus on how hard this is for you. Let's make it about Sarah's feelings, like we always do. I just watched him. You created this situation. You're the one who lied for 8 years. And I'm trying to fix it without blowing up my entire social network. But you can't give me one night. After everything I do around here, you can't give me one single night without making it weird. One, what exactly do you do around here? Emma chimed in. Ryan's jaw hardened, but Emma was quick to intervene. You return home from a difficult work to emotional support from him. He manages accomplishments like a resume. Not everything is about money, Sarah. I glanced around the house at the furnishings, at the monthly utility and internet bills. Ryan hadn't worked in 3 years. The last time he managed the house, he forgot to pay the water bill, and we got a shut-off notice. I have talked to Mom about this, Emma replied nonchalantly. You definitely overreact. She finds it wonderful that Ryan cared enough about his friend's comments to continue the narrative. You talked to our mother about this before I even knew it was happening. I wanted advice. She understands. Why can't you? Ryan grabbed onto this quickly. Your mother understands. Your sister will assist. You are the only problem. He paused, cocked his head. What does that indicate? I had too many or no answers, and none were correct. Let's just keep practicing, Emma remarked, dismissing me. We don't have that much time left. The house, while you're working all the time, she cited his. Ryan continued, recounting our first anniversary, our coast trip, and my surprise lunch at work to Emma. All my experiences, all memories I felt belonged to us. I tried to remind him that our anniversary restaurant was French, not Italian. Ryan interrupted me. Oh, here we go, he said, in a vicious copy of my voice. Actually, Ryan, that's not exactly right. Actually, Ryan, you're telling it wrong. Actually, Ryan, let me correct you in front of everyone like I always do. He stared at Emma, and they laughed at me right there in my own home. I was just helping you get the details right, I whispered. Emma responded, We don't need your help. Still smiling. We've got everything handled. Why not go work? Isn't that your specialty? I told myself to relax. My husband and sister were simply nervous about the reunion. I was being sensitive. After changing upstairs, I took 5 minutes to relax. I was halfway down the stairs when I heard Emma chuckle. It was quieter than her usual laugh, kind of private. As I paused on the landing, peering through the railing, I saw Ryan touching Emma's face. His thumb traced her cheekbone, and she leaned into it, eyes half closed, their lips inches apart. They were going to kiss. My husband, my sister, in my living room. I must have made a sound, because they leapt apart like a pistol had gone off. Emma turned bright red, and Ryan raised his hands, a stammered explanation already forming. Not what it looks like. Ryan remarked. We were just rehearsing. Emma added frantically, in case anyone asks about us being affectionate. I stood on the stairs, staring down at them as they panicked, trying to appear innocent. Right, I answered softly. Rehearsal. Relief spread across Ryan's face. Exactly. Our practice just got out of hand. It meant nothing. Emma agreed swiftly. We must search together. It was nothing else. I went downstairs and sat in my chair. I did nothing. I let them believe I bought it because I wanted time. Time to figure out what was really going on before I said anything I couldn't take back. I wasn't overreacting anymore. Something was profoundly amiss, and I wasn't going to let them match their tales or practice their excuses. I needed to talk to Ryan first, while the fright was new, then Emma alone, without him to feed her lines. If neither of them cracked, I'd locate someone who'd witnessed what I missed. Someone who owed him nothing and had no incentive to defend him. Tonight, the truth would emerge. After Emma departed an hour later, I followed Ryan upstairs silently as he brushed his teeth, like I hadn't just seen him almost kiss my sister, like this was any other night in our marriage. When he came out, I went to the bedroom door. Move, he said. No. In 8 years of marriage, I'd never blocked a door or stood in his way. I'd always been accommodating, sensible, and simple to navigate. I'm exhausted, Sarah. Move. You won't sleep until you tell me about Emma. He laughed, but it wasn't funny. We said it was rehearsal. Understanding, you said. I lied. Nothing makes sense. Why did my hubby touch my sister's face? Why was she leaning into him like she'd done it 100 times? Why did you two appear more comfortable together than with me in years? Ryan tried to walk around me, and I blocked him again. His jaw clenched. You're nuts now. You know that. Your behavior is insane. Please explain so I can quit being insane. Tell me something sensible. I informed you. We practiced couple likeness. It was nothing else. Then why did you leap apart, like I caught you doing something wrong? If that was practice, you'd chuckle. You wouldn't have panicked. He raised his hands. What should I say? That I'm sleeping with your sister? Should you hear that to justify your meltdown? Are you? This question hung between us. Ryan and I gazed at each other for 3 seconds without breathing. I can't believe you'd even ask me that. His voice grew somber and pained, as if I'd harmed him. After all these years together, after all we've established, you're going to accuse me of sleeping with Emma because we got too into character during a rehearsal? You didn't answer the question because the question is insane. He was shouting, but I didn't move. No, Sarah. I won't sleep with your sister. Happy now. Can I sleep? When he tried to push by me, I grabbed his arm, my fingers digging into his bicep. He stopped moving and stared down at my hand like he couldn't believe I was touching him without permission. Let go of me. Not until you look me in the eyes and tell me there's nothing between you two. He pulled his arm away. His countenance altered. His lip twisted up, and his eyes got flat and frigid. He looked at me like I was glued to his shoe. Want to know our relationship? Relief. It is relief to spend time with someone who doesn't question my every breath. Relief that I'm with a woman that makes me feel wonderful instead of like a failure every day. I have never called you a failure. You needn't. In whatever you do, how you groan when paying bills, how you mention work every 5 minutes. You treat me like a problem you're too exhausted to fix. He approached and lowered his voice. Emma doesn't stare at me. Emma considers me valuable. Emma's not paying yours. There it was. You associate everything with money. You must remind me that you have the checkbook every time we talk. I'm reminding you that I'm the one with the checkbook because you seem to have forgotten who funds your life while you spend your days rehearsing romance with my sister. Ryan's jaw was narrow and rigid, his nostrils flared. What? No more. Maybe we shouldn't be married if you can't trust me after 8 years. His threat was delivered. He knew I'd avoided nuclear weapons my whole marriage. Do you want that? I said, no. I want a woman who doesn't suspect me. If you can't be that, maybe divorce is what I desire. He thrust past me, and this time I allowed it. He took a pillow and blanket from the closet and left without looking back. Even in a fight, he couldn't spend 5 minutes without a screen. So, I heard him run downstairs, throw himself on the sofa, and switch on the TV. Standing in our bedroom doorway, I noticed something important. He hadn't denied anything. He'd shouted, evaded, and threatened divorce. He couldn't look me in the eyes and say there was nothing between him and Emma, because there was. I grabbed my keys and pocketbook and left the front door without notifying him. He didn't question or glance up from the TV. Emma's flat was 20 minutes distant. The route was familiar. I'd driven there dozens of times with groceries when she said she couldn't afford food, furniture when she said her place looked too empty, and a security deposit check when she first moved in because she'd spent her savings on a trip to Cabo with friends. 2 years ago, she contacted me weeping about being homeless. I co-signed her lease. I paid her security deposit and set up automatic rent transfers because money stressed her greatly. I totaled it up once and stopped because it made me sick. 2 years, $18,000, plus her vehicle insurance, phone bill, and periodic checks when she indicated she was suffering. Every hour I worked to pay her debts was an hour she spent with Ryan at home. I parked in front of her building and ascended 2 steps at a time. Despite it being after 11 p.m., I hammered on her door loud enough that her neighbor opened theirs to investigate. Emma, open the door now. Steps and her frightened voice came from within. Sarah, why are you here? It's late. Can we chat tomorrow? No. I pushed the door hard, and she staggered backward inside the flat I sponsored. We're talking right now. You can't just barge in here. I fund your rent. I can do whatever I want. I stared at the furniture I helped her choose, the TV I got her for Christmas, and the couch where she undoubtedly texted my husband as I worked to pay for everything. How long? Emma hugged herself. How long? What? Don't try to fool me. How long have you slept with Ryan? I'm not sleeping with Ryan, she said. Rehearsal. Why not trust me? Because I saw your expression when he touched you. I observed its naturalness. Emma, it wasn't acting. That was muscle memory. You did that so often your body performed it automatically. You're imagining things. Am I? Why do you know so much about my husband? Why do you two have inside jokes? Why does he defend you more than he defends me? Emma glanced at her phone on the counter, desperate for Ryan's advice. He won't save you, I responded. I left him on the couch. Just you and me, sisters together. Tell me the truth. There's nothing to tell. Fine, then tell me this. I approached and saw her retreat. What's his left hip's birthmark? Emma's face blanched. When she neglected to lie, I saw the answer in her eyes before she covered it up. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. You know what I mean. Because you saw it. You touched it. You're near enough to my husband's body to know his wife only secrets. He showed me a picture. It was a joke. Ryan has never photographed that birthmark. He feels self-conscious. He scarcely lets me see it. But you know what it looks like because you've been in bed with him. I chuckled a bitter, hollow sound. Emma, how long? In my paid flat. How long have you slept with my husband? She remained silent. She stood there, arms wrapped around herself, tears forming in her eyes. Tears she'd used 100 times to get out of trouble. The same act she'd run since we were youngsters. I'm done, I said. Rent stops today. Your auto insurance ends today. Everything I've paid for ends today. You want my husband? Fine, but you'll do it without my money. Sarah, wait. No. Don't cut me off. I have nowhere to go. Should have thought about that before you decided to destroy my marriage. I left and slammed the door, shaking so violently I couldn't grip my keys. I sat in my car for 5 minutes, breathing, trying to digest what I'd confirmed. My husband, my sister, in my house, on my money, behind my back, and they wanted me to remain home while they acted like a happy couple at his reunion. Then an idea sparked. Ryan wanted my sister as his fake wife. Fine. I'd then date his brother, Jackson, who'd done everything right while Ryan floated through life on charm and other people's money. Jackson had started his own business at 25 and owned his house. Ryan had turned down his 3 job offers because he couldn't work for his brother. Ryan couldn't handle being around someone who made him seem horrible just by existing. So they seldom spoke anymore. Jackson only came to Christmas and Thanksgiving, but he was always kind to me at family functions. I went through with it. I'd go into that reunion on Jackson's arm and watch Ryan's expression as he saw his wife with the one person he could never measure up to. I discovered Jackson's number on my phone. I gazed at the computer for a while before typing, "Hi, Jackson. It's Sarah. This is weird, but I need a favor. A large one. Can we meet tomorrow? Please don't tell Ryan." I called. After a minute or two, my phone buzzed as I was starting the car. "Is everything okay?" I typed, "No, that's why I need your help." 3 dots appeared. Then he said to meet for coffee next morning. Jackson met me at the coffee shop the next morning and listened without interrupting. He didn't call me insane. Instead of making excuses for his brother, he asked what I needed, which was simple. Ryan had spent 8 years making me feel invisible and months sneaking around with my sister while I paid for their lives. Now I was going to make him feel paranoid, jealous, and desperate for answers he wouldn't get. Jackson was glad to help. Ryan entered the bathroom doorway the next morning as I applied mascara. "You're up early." He examined my clothes and jewelry, which I no longer wore. "Where are you going?" "Coffee with Jackson." His body stiffened at the name's impact. Jackson was the only person in the world who made Ryan feel like nothing. Their parents had compared them for 30 years, and Ryan lost every time. Jackson built a company while Ryan didn't work, and Jackson owned his house while Ryan lived in mine. Every family dinner reminded him he was the disappointment, and he hated his brother for it since they were kids. "Cancel it." I resumed applying mascara. He entered the bathroom and snatched my phone off the counter before I could stop him. "His number. I'll cancel it myself." "Give me my phone, Ryan." He raised it above his head like we were kids battling over toys. "How will you handle it?" I put my mascara down and stared at him. This man I devoted 8 years to, who couldn't even drink coffee without a tantrum. "I'm leaving this house. Meeting your brother. When I return, you'll give me my phone and apologize for acting like a child." I grabbed my keys from the counter. "Keep the phone. I'll acquire another." He lowered his arm. "Sarah, wait." Jackson was already at the coffee shop when I arrived. He stood up when he saw me and drew me into a lengthy hug. He smelt nice and clean, unlike Ryan's awful perfume that had hurt my nose for a decade. "You okay?" "Are you upset?" he said as we sat down. "Your brother kidnapped my phone because I wanted coffee with you." Jackson clenched his jaw. That sounds like him. It does, because I believed my husband was sensible for 8 years. It turns out I married a child who throws fits when he doesn't get his way. He's always been that way. He just conceals it effectively. Jackson moved a coffee across the table. I ordered your regular. I hope that's acceptable. How do you know my normal? You've ordered the same item at every family event for 5 years. Oat milk, vanilla latte, extra shot, he shrugged. I pay attention. After 8 years of marriage, Ryan still asked me for my coffee order like it wouldn't stay. Jackson heard everything. The proposal, the nearly kiss on the couch, the birthmark slip, and Ryan gaslighting me for months while taking advantage of my sister. When I finished, my coffee was cold and my voice hoarse. I want him to feel what I felt, I replied. Paranoid, jealous, mad, wondering what's happening. That's how I need you. Take me to supper. Text me when he watches. Wonder him. Jackson paused, his thumb drawing circles on my hand. He responded, I'm in. Whatever you need. Ryan was sitting in the dark living room like a horror movie villain when I arrived home 3 hours later. 3 hours, he said, flat-voiced. 3-hour absence. We discussed a lot. About what? About me? How bad I am. Not everything is about you, Ryan. I extended my hand. Phone. He took it from his pocket and flung it at me. I caught it on my chest. Your lovely phone. Check messages. Jackson has probably been messaging you nonstop, like a desperate loser. The only desperate person in this room is you. I moved past him to the stairs, ignoring his meltdowns. Our first supper with Jackson was Friday. I donned the black dress Ryan claimed was too much for a Tuesday and did my hair as I used to. When I walked downstairs, Ryan sprang up so fast his chair tumbled over. No, absolutely not. Yes. The answer is yes. You're not leaving this house dressed like that to meet my brother. He strongly grasped my arm. I expected bruises tomorrow from the hardness. I said no. And I said yes. Release me. Make me. I stared at his hand on my arm, then at his face, and yelled loudly, perhaps reaching the neighbors. He released instantaneously. The heck is wrong with you? Nothing. I wanted to test your release speed if someone would hear. I smoothed my dress. Now you know. I know how to manage you now. Jackson's headlights illuminated the window. I left without looking back. The conversation, Jackson asking about my job and listening, was amazing. He recalled information from years ago that Ryan had never learned. He stared at me like I was worth seeing. Friday again? He inquired when he dropped me off. Friday again, I confirmed. The second evening was better. We spoke about everything and nothing until he kissed my cheek, and I felt it for hours. The third supper altered everything. I expected Ryan to pace, sulk, or throw things when I got home at midnight. Instead, I found him on the couch with Emma nestled up next to him. It was common, watching a movie, her shoes off, her head on his shoulder. Oh, hey, Ryan ignored me. How was your date? Standing at the doorway, I tried to absorb what I saw. Why is she here, Emma? She came over to keep me company since my wife is never home anymore. Emma stared at me with a smug smirk that made me want to cross the room and smack it off. You don't mind, she asked. Ryan was lonely. I thought someone should help him since you're usually with Jackson. Get out of my house. Excuse me. You heard me. Get out. You can't kick me out. Emma laughed. Ryan owns this house. It's not. The deed doesn't mention him. Not his name on the mortgage. His name isn't on anything because he hasn't worked in 3 years. I dropped my handbag on the table. I'll repeat. Get out of my house. Finally, Ryan stood. Don't talk to her like that. Like what? Like she's the woman sleeping with my husband. Nobody's sleeping with anybody. His presence between Emma and me seemed protective. We're just pals. You and Jackson are pals, right? The hypocrisy was thick enough to taste. Really? Doing this now? After everything you said to me about Jackson, after grabbing me and screaming at me and calling me desperate? That was different. How? How is this different? Because I'm not trying to hurt you. He approached. I've done everything to defend our marriage. Protecting our marriage? I chuckled a bitter, broken sound. Rehearsing your fake wedding with my sister. Using our proposal story. Almost kissing her on our couch. Emma got up from the couch. That's not what happened. Really? I witnessed it, Emma. That corridor. I saw him lean for you, like a magnet, unable to resist. You're overdramatic. It was practice. A rehearsal for what? Last I looked, couples only almost kiss during rehearsal if they want to. Maybe if you paid more attention to your spouse, he wouldn't need to practice with others. Emma's eyes were stern. No sisterly love or guilt. She felt frigid satisfaction at finally uttering what she was thinking. There it is. I nodded slowly. You actually think that, right? This is my fault. I drove him to you. I didn't say that. You just did. Ryan gently stroked Emma's arm, as he used to do before he started pretending I mattered. Sarah, you need to calm down. Don't tell me to relax. You brought my sister into our house to make me jealous, and now you're clutching her arm like a victim. I looked between them. How long? How long? What? How long have you slept together? Tell me the truth. I know about the birthmark. Emma blanched. Ryan glanced at the floor. That's what I thought. I took my handbag off the table. Sleeping in the guest room tonight. Tomorrow morning, she better be gone. You can't just kick her out. I can do whatever I want, Ryan, I added. My house, remember? Emma's words stopped me from climbing the stairs. Don't you believe you're superior than everyone? The wealthy attorney with the beautiful house and fancy job. Her voice was quivering with wrath. You've always judged me, always made me feel inferior. I turned slowly. Emma, I paid your rent for 2 years. I paid your phone and auto insurance. You stated you were suffering, so I gave you $2,500 last Christmas. I approached, and the whole time you were sleeping with my husband and laughing at me behind my back. I wasn't laughing. What were you doing? The way I see it, you took all I gave you and stole my life. I didn't steal anything. You were never going to lose him. Her voice cracked. He would always stay with you. Money, house, stability. That's his wish. I was his true love. Her confession hit me like a truck. I had stopped caring if Ryan loved me. I just wanted him to pay for what he'd done. Loved. I repeated to her. Past tense. Emma blinked. What? You said loved, not loves. Loved. I regarded Ryan. Is that true? Did you adore her? He opened, closed, and reopened his mouth without speaking. Ryan. Now Emma's voice sounded low, pleading. Tell her. I don't know what you want me to say. Tell her you love me. Tell her I'm not a mistake. Tell her what you told me alone. Ryan nervously ran his fingers through his hair, cornered. Emma, this isn't the time. When's the time? She knows. Everyone knows. Emma grabbed his arm. Tell her. Pulling away from her. I need some air. Emma stood in my living room, crying after he left via the back door and into the yard. He loves me, she muttered. He told me he loves me. Men say a lot of things, Emma, I said, a cold, hard truth, especially when they want something. I saw her shatter when she realized she would never be his wife, that she had sacrificed her sister for a man who couldn't declare he loved her. How does it feel to realize you were just another woman? That's not what I was. You were precisely that. My fascinating secret, forbidden fruit, and reason he could accept marriage. Grab my purse. Secrets don't last forever. Now he must pick. Do you believe he'll choose you above everything I offer? Emma cried while I went upstairs to the guest room. not responding. I texted Jackson on my phone. She was here when I got home, curled up with him on the couch like she belonged there. His response came in seconds. Are you okay? Better than fine. He revealed me, his true self. She recognized she would never win. What happened? She claimed he loved her. He couldn't respond. Left her weeping in the room and left. He's a coward. He's worse than a coward. He destroys everyone around him, attempting to figure out what he wants. Dinner tomorrow. I grinned at my phone in the dark guest room. I heard Emma's car starting in the driveway, Ryan's footsteps on the back porch, and his muted shout as she drove away. Pick me up at 7, I texted. Thank you, Jackson, for being the one nice thing. Always. Ryan called Emma and asked her to return within 48 hours, assuring her that everything would change and that the reunion would show how much he cared. He believed I didn't spot her car parked 2 blocks away when she crept in via the back while they fixed things. He believed he was smart, as did they. The reunion was tomorrow night, and they had their plan, their tale, and their matching clothing. But they didn't realize that I had a plan that would destroy theirs. 2 days later, while folding laundry, I heard Ryan's voice from the backyard and peered out the window to see him walking by the fence with his phone. I realized my error. No, I harmed you. Emma, please. I need you during the 5-day reunion. Pause. Only you understand, since I adore you. She was weeping in our living room, so I was too terrified to say anything. He held it until the phone call when he believed no one was listening. I'll pick you up at 6 o'clock Friday night. Wear the green outfit we chose. Another pause, then quieter. Promised we'll be different this time. Everything changes after reunion. You'll see. They hung up, and I backed away from the window before he could glance up. My hands hadn't shook in weeks. Something cold and patient and ready had hardened inside me since that night I drove away weeping. I texted Jackson on my phone. They reconciled. Just told her he loves her. Response time was seconds. Are you okay? I'm perfect. We reunite Friday. Pick me up at 7 o'clock. The plan. I smiled at my phone. You'll see. Friday came quickly. I got my hair done at Ryan's pricey salon in the afternoon. Nails painted the red he said was too bold. Professional makeup, because tonight I wasn't just showing up. I was making an entrance. The dress was new black, cut low enough to turn heads and high enough to stay classy. I bought it with a credit card Ryan didn't know existed. Jackson pulled up at 7 o'clock, charcoal suit, immaculate hair. I made other guys feel tiny just by being there. When I opened the door, he cautiously inspected me. You look incredible. I know. Chandeliers, valet parking, waiters with champagne on silver trays. I snatched my handbag from the table, ready for the downtown hotel reunion party. Through the windows, the mass of Ryan's old classmates in their finest clothing tried to prove the previous 8 years had been kind. Are you sure? Jackson questioned the valet as he gave him his keys. I've never been more sure of anything. We entered with his hand on my back and my chin up. The room was full of strangers, telling stories about my husband, the confident, popular person who had everything sorted out. The man who married Emma and lived happily ever after. I saw them before they saw me. The anniversary outfit I purchased Ryan. Emma in the green dress they'd practiced in, holding his arm and laughing at one of his friends. Playing the ideal wife, exactly like in my living room. Ryan glanced up and showed 5 emotions in 2 seconds. Confusion, recognition, terror, panic, and finally, dread as he saw who was next to me. Sarah. His voice broke my name. Hey, honey, I said with a big smile for the whole room. Surprised. The throng quieted and turned to see. Dry grass caught fire with whispers. Why are you here? Ryan scarcely spoke. I meet my husband's old pals. Don't wives do that during reunions? I regarded Emma. I'm sorry. Did I interrupt? Emma was pale and stared at Jackson like a ghost. Who's this? Ryan's pal spoke forward. Big guy with a welcoming smile, unaware of the bombing. I doubt we've met. My name is Sarah, wife of Ryan. Real wife. He's been married for 8 years. The friend's smiles faded. I thought Emma was his wife. That's funny, I said, my voice sweet as poison. Because Emma is my sister, and she's been sleeping with my husband for the past year while I paid her rent. Whispers became gasps. Ryan grabbed my arm to draw me away from the crowd. Sarah, stop. Shame on you. No. I release my arm. I humiliate you. Differences exist. Who's he? Another friend pointed to Jackson. Why is he here? This is Jackson, Ryan's brother, the one who succeeds. Your acquaintance has envied this one since childhood. I regarded Ryan. Should I explain your hatred of him? Should I let them decide? Sarah, please. Ryan pleaded. Can we discuss this privately? Private? You lied to them for 8 years. You said you married the prettier sister. You said Emma was your wife. Used our proposal tale for her. I faced the audience. Who wants to see our wedding photos, since I have them on my phone? Hands raised, people gathered. I displayed photo after photo. Me in the white dress, Ryan at the altar, me cutting the cake with Emma as a bridesmaid. That's Emma. I looked at her. The woman he's been parading around tonight as his wife, my sister, my maid of honor, the woman I trusted more than anyone in the world. Emma eventually spoke. Sarah, this isn't what it looks like. Really? You appear to be wearing the outfit you practiced in my living room. Maybe you're gripping my husband's arm. You probably came here tonight to impersonate me. I approached her. Emma, how does it feel to obtain what you want and have it backfire? I never wanted to hurt you. What did you want from here? It appears like you wanted my husband, life, and proposal story. I owned everything. He said you disdained him. I was informed your marriage ended. I was informed you were remaining together for convenience. You believed him? A chuckle. The jobless man. The man who drives my car and lives in my house, who hasn't paid a bill in 3 years. That's the man you trusted to be honest about our marriage. Emma watched Ryan, expecting for him to protect her, say anything or act. He didn't. Ryan. Her voice was weak. Tell them, Ryan. Tell them what you told me. His anxious fingers raised through his hair, a coward's indication. I think we should all just calm down. Calm down. Emma's voice rose. You declared your love. After our reunion, you said everything would change. You promised we'd be together. This captivated the crowd, who recorded on their phones. Everyone watched Ryan's meticulously prepared deception crumble in real time. Is that true? Big nice guy moved forward again. You said you and Emma were married for 8 years, Ryan. You displayed images. You mentioned your honeymoon. I can explain. Then explain. I crossed arms. Tell your buddies why you lied. Explain why your wife is with your brother while your mistress wears the dress you chose together. Why are you such a coward that you can't tell high school friends the truth? Ryan opened, closed, and reopened his mouth without speaking. Jackson approached and grabbed my back. I think we're done here. Almost. I took the envelope from my handbag, which I had carried all night. One more thing. I gave Ryan it. He watched it like it would bite. What's this? Open it. His hands trembled as he tore the envelope, removed the papers, and read the first sentence. His face grayed. Divorce papers. I grinned. My lawyer drew them last week. 30 days to answer. Sarah, wait. We can resolve this. Counseling is available. We can. No. I ended. No. I don't want to work things out. I refuse therapy. I won't spend another minute with a man who said he married the prettier sister while I paid for his every possession. To Emma, I said, I hope he was worth it because you just lost your sister, your rent payments, your car insurance. Everything I gave you because I thought family meant something. Shaking my head. Good luck figuring out how to survive without me. Jackson held my hand as we approached the entrance. No one opposed us or protected Ryan. As the crowd divided, they saw him lose everything. I looked back at the door one final time. Ryan held the divorce papers, while Emma cried. Friends looked at him as they'd never seen him before. By the way, I said, my voice carrying across the silent room. My name is on the home, as is the automobile. Everything is. Take your stuff out before the end of the month. I left in the cold night air with Jackson. The valet turned the car around, and Jackson opened my door, and I got into the passenger seat. Your mood? He inquired as we left the motel, watching the structure diminish in the side mirror. I thought about all I'd done, everything I'd destroyed and wanted to build. I feel free, I responded. I observed Ryan put boxes into a rental truck from the bedroom window 3 weeks later during his move. After the reunion, most of his friends stopped returning his calls, leaving him alone in the driveway with the fragments of a life he'd spent 8 years pretending to deserve. He knocked on the door before leaving. I opened but didn't allow him in. I just wanted to say goodbye, he said with red eyes and a lack of sleep. I'm sorry for everything. That's all. Just fine. What should I say, Ryan? I'll forgive you. That I wish you joy. Leaning on the door frame. I don't. I hope you always remember what you threw away. I hope you hear a voice telling you that you don't deserve wonderful things every time they come your way. He recoiled like I struck him. You've changed. No, I just stopped pretending to be someone I'm not, so you could feel better about yourself. I backed up and touched the door. Goodbye, Ryan. I closed it before he replied. Emma contacted me twice that first week and left voicemails asking if we could talk, if we could mend things, and if I could keep paying her rent until she worked things out. I didn't answer. I didn't listen past the first few words. I erased them. She arrived at my door a month later. I didn't open the peephole, despite her 10-minute banging and yelling my name before she went. 2 months later, I learned via a relative that she and Ryan had moved into a tiny apartment on the poor side of town to make it work. Ryan earned $12 per hour in a warehouse. Emma worked at a restaurant where tips barely paid for petrol. The ideal life they practiced in my living room became shouting battles about expenses and who bought food. They split up before signing the lease. Emma rejoined our parents. Ryan vanished untraced. Slowly, Jackson and I transformed dinners into weekends. Weekends ended in travels. I finally went to Italy, my dream trip. We never mentioned Ryan while eating spaghetti and sipping wine for 2 weeks. Jackson invited me to live with him 6 months after the reconciliation. I accepted without hesitation because I knew what I wanted now. And it wasn't a lie. It was real. And it was mine.